But for now, there is a story that we had highlighted earlier on in the bulletin, and we now want to link up with our Timothy Otieno, who is now joining us live from Nairobi West, where we will sample reactions of motorists over the ruling of the Court of Appeal that the use of Alco-Blow to arrest drunk drivers is actually illegal. This, however, does not mean that motorists are off the hook, as the NTSA maintains that it is still illegal for motorists to drive while they are drunk. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us here on Friday Briefing. Very interesting developments we've had today, and I can tell that wherever you are, it's a buzz of activities. So what are people saying about this move by the court?
Well, Betty, I can tell you for sure people are making merry following that Court of Appeal directive that has temporarily suspended the use of Alco-Blow. I'm at one of the local joints here in Nairobi West, and I can tell you people are really happy with that particular directive. I'm going to be speaking to a few of them just to find out what the reason for their excitement is in particular. I'm joined by one of the revelers here. Hello, sir. Maybe you could begin by telling us your name and your reactions to that Court of Appeal directive suspending it.
Charles Soso. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to an extent that the Kenyan government that have realized they are losing revenue. Revenue because they have been losing money. They are arresting TNA. They have been arresting innocent people from wanatoka kwa pombe, wanakunywa pombe, wanatoka kukaa na marafiki, wanatoka kukaa na marafiki na wanashikwa. Pombe, kama tungekuwa na pombe, Kenya Brewery imeandika wafanyakazi wangapi? Kenya Brewery imeandika wafanyakazi wangapi? Hao ni wasasi, wanasomesha watoto wangapi? Na wanalea watoto wangapi? Pombe vile mimi natumia sio vile mtu mwingine anatumia.
All right. Asante sana. Maybe labda we could get opinions from other people as well in regards to this particular reaction for suspending of the Alco-Blow. I see another reveller here. Thank you so much for talking to KTN News. Begin by telling us your name, and do you support that Court of Appeal directive?
Yes, my name is Salim. I really don't support Alco-Blow. They have been there to harass Kenyans. The reason why we drink, we just relieve ourselves after hard work, and Alco-Blow cannot deny us the chance to relieve ourselves and enjoy ourselves. Alco-Blow has been there to just take our money, and they should be scrapped away. Let the government deserve another way of just helping Kenyans not to have accidents. Alco-Blow should be scrapped completely out of order. They have been just there to scrap, to harass Kenyans, nothing else. Alco-Blow with some of the police officers, they have been there to take our money in the name of helping to reduce accidents. But remember, before Alco-Blow, we have been driving and we have been drinking. Alco-Blow has not helped anything. Let the government deserve another way of reducing accidents after drinking.
Yes. All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. I mean, this is a gadget that is meant to protect both motorists and pedestrians on the road. So much excitement that it's being taken off the streets. Perhaps I could ask this gentleman here, why such great opposition to a gadget that is meant to protect Kenyans on the road?
Yeah, my name is Engineer Chris Mugwanga. Engineer Chris Mugwanga is a honorable, has aspired for many seats, but this is not valuable. We want to talk really to the topic. Alco-Blow is a disaster to our people. It's a disaster because we cannot allow ourselves to spend money to police and court. This is a situation that we have been drinking, we have been giving people tips, people have been benefiting out of us. Nowadays we have reduced their budget because of Alco-Blow. Since that a drunkard man must have a concubine, and a concubine is not that you have a woman.
All right, sir, it's a bit of deviation. Thank you so much for speaking to KTN News. I'll get maybe one more, Betty, just to get a final reaction in regards to the people's moods, in regards to that particular court directive. I'll try and walk over to this particular table here. As you can imagine, people are making merry. It's a Friday evening. Sir, perhaps my question to you would be, it's not the first time we're seeing the courts suspend the use of Alco-Blow. It has been suspended before and then brought back. Are you worried that this particular court directive may not last and sooner or later the Alco-Blow will be back on the Kenyan roads?
The law, that law was implemented in a hurry. What I would suggest, legislators should go to other countries that have implemented this law. Like in the UK, you go to the Middle East and borrow a leaf from them. The problem with our system is so draconian. It's a very bad system because we are normally handled in a very bad way. We service what other countries do. So that people should sit down, more so the legislators, and probably implement the system in a better way. You can imagine being dragged into a Land Rover like a criminal case. You can imagine your car being towed away and you're being told to pay 10,000 the next day. You can imagine being locked in a cell as if you have killed somebody. Number two, I think our road accidents are not a cause of, beer is not the main cause of our problems. Look at it nowadays in Nairobi. Accidents are found along Mombasa Road, and the people involved are not even drunk. We need to have proper road signs, and the roads must also be in order. Lastly, I have a feeling that we are trying to get into business that we don't understand. NTSA should concentrate on safety measures, not harassing motorists. At the same time, taking beer is also contributing so much to the economy. It has been there for years, and I don't think it's a big problem.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to KTN News. Of course, that's just some of reactions from the revelers here who are obviously so excited that Alco-Blow will not be on the roads, at least temporarily. So that means then that the National Transport and Safety Authority will have to come up with new mechanisms or go back to the traditional ones of determining whether a motorist is drunk or not. But of course, we can confirm to you here that indeed the National Transport and Safety Authority is conducting an operation tonight across most of the major roads in the country, and they have insisted, despite that court directive, they are going to be arresting motorists who are found to be drinking while under the influence of alcohol. So from here in Nairobi West, people are making merry. At one point, even they were actually applauding that particular directive, and we spoke to others who say that they're going to be toasting tonight towards that quote-unquote victory against the Alco-Blow. So from Nairobi West here in Nairobi, Betty, I hand it back to you in studio.
Tim, just before I let you go, if you can hear me, as you mentioned that NTSA has still maintained that, you know, they will be out looking for drunk drivers. So do we know what methods now they will be using now that they cannot use the Alco-Blow?
I think, Betty, they may now have to go back to traditional methods of, I'm finding it hard to describe it. Maybe tell you to walk in a line, for example, or tell you maybe to put your hands up with one leg up and see whether you can be able to balance for quite a while. And then they'll have to go back to those basically traditional methods of scrutinizing drivers to find out whether they are under the influence. But remember, Betty, this particular machine had been made in such a way that it would allow room for maybe one bottle of drink.
Yes.
It would not allow for excessive drinking.
Right.
So the traditional methods of trying to determine whether a driver is drunk may not really go a long way in determining whether the number of bottles that one has taken. But nonetheless, the intent is meant to ensure that people are safe on the roads. Indeed, the statistics within themselves are not that good. Just this year alone, in February, I remember I did a story on road fatalities, and about 150 people had already died by week 6. And most of these deaths had been attributed to driving errors. Now, indeed, those statistics don't clearly point out to alcoholism or being found to drive under the influence of alcohol, but nonetheless, NTSA have been worried that that may be one of the major contributors. So does going back to traditional methods of lift your hand up, walk in a straight line, or hold your breath for a certain time, will it go a long way in determining how guilty or innocent one is? If one is captured, perhaps that will be the point of argument if this particular petition goes to the Supreme Court. Remember, it's just the Court of Appeal that has issued this directive. There is still room to go to the highest court in the land to appeal that particular directive, Betty.
Okay, Tim, finally, my final question. Those drivers, do they know that NTSA is still on the lookout? Because they obviously seem to be having a good time, but NTSA says that they're still on it.
To be honest, at the moment, they don't seem the least bothered by the fact that there's still an operation ongoing. They're making merry despite the rain, Betty. Remember, it has been raining in Nairobi, but that hasn't dampened any of their moods or any of their spirits. And they are, of course, insisting that they're going to be making merry. Perhaps they'll sort themselves out in regards to how they are going to be going back home. But for now, they are still going to be making merry, having fun. They'll see how they get back home. And of course, we do hope that they get back home safely, because the number of lives lost on the roads is alarming at the moment, Betty.
All right, thank you very much, Timothy Otieno. They're doing a great job in Nairobi West. You should also get home safely. And of course, quite a number of motorists